Hey everybody, Your Natural Dog with Angela Ardolino, and I'm super excited about my guest today because she is a veterinary cannabis consultant. Her name is Sandi Krucik-van Bommel, and she is in Canada, and literally because her dog, she's a veterinary technician, and because her dog needed help and her vet didn't have anything for her, she found CBD and it tremendously helped her pet. And when she discovered it was so hard to find a good product, a full spectrum product, a pure product, a tested product, she decided to become an expert so that she could help pet parents. And she knows what she's doing and she's talking of what she's talking about. So I really enjoyed having this conversation with someone who knows how tremendous this plant is for our pets. So stay tuned. You'll really enjoy this conversation.
Hello, my name is Jan and my dogs are Cooper and Chewy. Cooper is a 1.5-year-old pit bull mix who suffers from general anxiety and fearfulness. Chewy is a 1.5-year-old Labradoodle who suffers from separation anxiety. We have done lots of training and exposure to help build confidence and reduce the anxiety, which have helped, but overall, I could still tell that they were very wary and unsure of new surroundings and environments. We have also tried calm chews, and mostly they just made my dogs very sleepy, which wasn't my primary goal because I wanted to be able to take my dogs places with me. When I first heard about hemp oil, I decided to do a deep dive. I am very conscientious of everything I give my dogs and what I put in their bodies, from their food to their treats to any and all supplements. I decided to give hemp oil a try after months of research and learning that hemp oil has numerous benefits, not only on anxiety, but overall health and wellness. The first time I gave my dogs hemp oil, I saw the changes within minutes. They were immediately less overstimulated and more comfortable, not drowsy or sleepy, but comfortable. I am so grateful and excited to have found this hemp oil and know that I am giving my dog something that is 100% natural and has virtually no side effects. I can't wait to create more experiences and make new memories with my dogs, knowing that they will be able to stay calm and enjoy every single moment of it.
Hi, Sandi. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think that you've got the coolest job on earth, and I'm so excited that this is like, I don't even know if we have people like this in the United States. So I think it's really cool that you're in Canada. And the reason why I'm so excited you're in Canada is because I get asked every single day about products, what can we use in Canada? So now I can tell them to go to you and you're going to help them. So I am very excited that this is what you chose to do, because this is what I've chosen to do too. So I feel like I'm talking to, a colleague, and there's so few of us out there that do this. So thank you so much for joining me. I want to know, how did you discover that this was a major niche in our industry and go, this is what I'm going to do?
Well, Angela, it comes from, of course, a personal experience, as I know it's how you started as well in this journey. And so back in 2019, my family and I were actually in a high-speed collision. It was, when I say our whole family, I mean our dogs included. It was one of those moments, to be honest, that in a brief second changed all of our lives forever. Both in what I can say now, which at the time didn't seem like both a good way, and of course a lot of challenges that came with it. Thankfully, we were able to rise above, which has brought me here today, but not without some loss, which is one of my dogs who we had developed some injuries that were not treatable with conventional medicine. When I spoke to my vet, she, of course, was very supportive from a standpoint that is a very holistic approach. And she said, why don't you try CBD? And at that time, Angela, I had nothing to lose. I was so desperate to want to help her, have her with us as long as we possibly could. And this seemed like a viable way to go. Having said that, though, at the time, she didn't have a lot of ways to be able to guide us into product selection, dosing, how to go about using it. She gave us a few points to direct us in that way of researching. But I've been in the industry for over 30 years as a veterinary professional, and I felt completely overwhelmed. And I thought, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I can't imagine how pet parents are feeling. And so, that being said, I know with 110% certainty, it gave us extra time. It gave us 3 extra months that I know we wouldn't have had otherwise. And it allowed us to have her experience a quality of life that wasn't possible otherwise. And for me, that was priceless. But it also left me feeling like this is something we need. This is something that pet parents need, both on the veterinary professional side, but also for support for pet parents who want to use cannabis and just don't have those ways to find support otherwise. So that's what's brought me to this, as you know, a very, very fine niche that is incredibly rewarding. I have pet parents coming to me at that time where it's desperate measures. They've tried everything else. They don't know where else to turn, and primarily they don't want to turn to the pharmaceuticals.
And they've already been failed by them.
That's where I step in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't you find that? Right.
Exactly.
They've already tried.
They know the side effects. 100%. They know the side effects as well, and that really does bring them to a place where they don't want to be relying on that. They don't want long-term NSAIDs. They don't want the liver compromises and all of it that comes with it. So, as you say, they've tried it, been there, done that. They want different solutions.
And isn't it amazing that a veterinarian will say, "There's nothing else I can do. I'm sorry," and that, well, you are a vet tech, but that you can come and go, "Yeah, there is something else we can do," and it's the best thing that we possibly can do. And I found the same thing too. Is that unfortunately people come. The only time that we get returns is because they didn't get the product in time for their pet. That breaks my heart.
Right.
So
right.
I'm hoping that these people that are discovering this amazing all-natural medicine late, their next pet or even themselves, they're gonna start earlier and realize that this is something we can go to first before we're giving them 5 different medications for pain or 10 different medications for cancer or whatever it is that they're just bombarding our animals with. So I know Canada is
absolutely
completely different than the US. I actually started my journey in Canada. I actually learned to grow in Canada, so that's pretty cool. But you said, okay, your vet said, try CBD. What was your next step? You just must have been like, what in the world? Like, how did you become certified, first of all? Who certified you? Where'd you learn everything?
Absolutely. So I actually had to, of course, come across the border to be certified because we don't have anything here in Canada.
Good.
So it was through the Veterinary Cannabis Education and Referral Organization. So
great.
They had a program which was specific to veterinary professionals, and it was my first-hand resource to find something that I could then take back into industry and be qualified to become a veterinary cannabis expert.
Good. And what was probably, let's see, I bet I could guess. What was the biggest shocker to you when you learned about how it works and what it is? What was so shocking once you learned?
Well, so I came into it with a lot of stigma. I was the girl who never did drugs in high school. I was the one who thought, cannabis was, was nothing but the recreational side. Opening up my mind and my discovery and curiosity to the medicinal side was just like an explosion went off for me. It was like fireworks. And it ignited me to want to learn more and more and more until the point where I was absolutely fascinated. Like, this to me was just amazing. And so it was taking a complete 180-degree turn to what I had learned and known and, of course, believed, and just wiping it all clean and starting from a new pivoting point that took me to, of course, what we know now is like a miraculous plant.
Very miraculous plant, magical plant, the best plant ever, the queen of adaptogens, yes. I like to call her. How do you think we can get through to more veterinarians, since they are taught, you know, what you just said? They're not taught that this is the ultimate all natural medicine that helps us and our immune system and get rid of inflammation and cancer and all these things. How do you think we get this message through veterinarians? Because a lot of them, I don't know if you get this on a daily basis. I still get on a regular basis. I get to hear my vet says stay away from it. THC is toxic, all the bad information. What do you think we need to do to get this message to them?
For me, it's all about education. And I know that you're an advocate for this as well. And a lot of veterinarians take the silent position where they speak nothing of it. And, you know, that really is doing a disservice. It's our ethical responsibility as veterinary professionals. If we don't have that knowledge, then go to somebody who does, right? And learn more about it. If you're not open to learn about it, then at least be open to allowing your clients or your pet parents to inquire and be able to investigate, because really that silent treatment is then bringing a loss of client trust. It's a loss of knowledge, curiosity, and it puts the pet's health at risk because you're not opening up that door of possibility for them. You're just closing it, not allowing that to bridge that gap of opening the door and allowing that pet parent to explore other options. So education for me is one of my core values. And I do this with my clients as well. It's harm reduction education that I provide for them in my services so that they can make informed decisions. They feel empowered to make decisions. And then that actually trickles over to their circle of influence. So for example, they're in conversation and someone says something that we know is misinformation. They can say, hey, actually, I know that this is what it is. And they can educate people just in their circle, which then trickles over to the general population.
Yeah, I'm encouraged because, of course, we have a board of advisors of veterinarians, mostly holistic veterinarians who've been practicing for over 20 years that are on our board of advisors for CBD dog health. But I still know there's so many that won't even consider it. And I thought for sure that, you know, when I got that first client who had a dog with some sort of cancer, they started them on the protocol using a full spectrum hemp extract and maybe a topical on the tumor, and it was disappearing and going away, and they were getting better, and they were going back to their vet, and their vet was going, oh my gosh, this is incredible. What are you doing? What did it? Well, I'm using a full spectrum hemp extract. Great. Keep doing that. Not tell me all about it. Where can I learn? Which one? You know, I thought for sure they would ask, and they don't. A lot of times they don't even.
It's true.
And my dog, you know, I don't know if you know about my Doberman who'd had osteosarcoma, but I had so many vets involved that I remember getting to 18 months and half of them saying, it must not be osteosarcoma. She shouldn't be alive anymore. And I'm like, you guys, this is what cannabis is doing, is preventing this cancer from metastasizing and spreading and killing her. It never left her arm. And I lost vets who wouldn't believe it. When I finally did get it amputated, I sent it to pathology so that I could send it to them and prove this is what this amazing plant can do. And I gave her 10 milligrams of THC every single night for 2 years. It was not toxic. It did not kill her.
Mm-hmm.
It kept her pain-free and alive longer than most dogs. And it's like, what else do you have to do? What else do you think needs to happen?
Absolutely.
For it's almost like exactly what you said, empowering that pet parent to know, trust your gut. You know better. You're learning. There's this incredible system that doctors and veterinarians are not even taught about. So they're not going to have the answers to this. And when do you find it's the perfect opportunity for someone to try a full spectrum hemp extract? Like, where do you feel like most people aren't getting? Like, this is a great time to use it for this, or add it into their regimen that now?
Well, to be honest, Angela, I very, very rarely use any isolates unless I am adding it to my full spectrum product, because sometimes we just can't get everything we need in one product. So I might then compose a protocol that does the full spectrum, but then I add in an extra minor cannabinoid so that we can get even a better entourage effect, as you know, is
And
so
does it work?
key.
Does it work
And
that
so
way?
I really, yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So you can add. You've got So how I do it is I'll find, whatever cannabinoid it is that's best for this, and I'll go grow that strain that's high in it and combine it. And I've always wondered if I could just take an isolate. I guess it would depend whether it's a synthetic isolate or an actual isolate of a cannabinoid and add it and get that same effect. What have you seen? What have you used it on? I'm fascinated by that.
Well, I have used it in cancer conditions. So where, for example, as you say, I always advocate where we're doing, if possible, a topical application along with the oral administration. And that's been something that's been very, very beneficial. I have had tumors literally fall off. And it's been, as you say, astounding. Yes. And so in that respect, I think coupling those together has given us such an added benefit.
Tell me about the best case that you had, like where you just were like, oh my God, this plant's incredible. Because I don't think people understand that. Watching a tumor, I remember one of her first cases, and I didn't even do it. It was just a customer. This dog had this tumor for 13 years. She refused to put her dog under and get it cut off. And 1 month of putting the remedy on it and giving a full spectrum 1100 milligrams, 42 milligrams a day. A month later, the thing, it looks like you burned it, turned black, fell off, no sign of it. She couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I love those things. What are some of your best cases of where you've seen this wonderful medicine at work?
So I've had a couple of scenarios like that. There was another lab who had a sarcoma, a nasal sarcoma that was inoperable, and same thing where it went from taking over completely one entire nair to being next to the size of like half of a dime, I would say. So that's a very significant change. There was also a cat who had such bad allergies that this poor kitty lived with a t-shirt, a cone, 24/7, and bandaged legs all around. So you can imagine the stress that this poor kitty was in, plus the pet parent. And she came to me as a last case scenario again. And this kitty now has an amazing hair coat. There's no pruritus. She has got an amazing appetite. She is happy. She plays. She's engaged with the other kitty now. And the pet parent is like over the moon. I mean, that was a really big one.
And when you say that one was a severe endocannabinoid deficiency, when their hair
100%.
is falling out and they're just riddled with pain and inflammation, I feel the same way. One dog after another that we get that's like that. I'm like, yep, it's going to help. It's going to help. Give it 30 days and that hair is going to be growing back.
And I was saying very, very similar annotations to this pet parent because she was very hesitant and I wouldn't say disbelieving, but just, of course, gone through all the pharmaceuticals and nothing had worked. And I just reassured her, just have some faith, just trust in me. This is going to be life changing for both of you. And it was. And it was something that she was just, I can't tell you the relief that she had both for herself and her anxiety because of her worry for her kitty, but of course the quality of life for her kitty.
Absolutely.
I've had some other cases as well with respect to seizures, as you know, too, the difference it can make, where sometimes we get complete seizure-free results. Other times it's a significant increase in their quality of life and the reduction of the seizure activity. So there is a lot of variation I find with seizure cases, but we definitely have improvements no matter what, whether it just be a reduction of the activity or completely seizure-free.
Every time that I dealt with seizures, it was find the amount that will keep that seizure from ever happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people stop, once you get up to a certain point. But I had a 6-pound Chihuahua that needed 100 milligrams a day to prevent her seizures from happening. And I remember 3 months into being seizure free, it's like, let me take it back 5 milligrams and see what happens. And she had one. So I was like, wow.
Yes.
I would have never thought that a 6-pound Chihuahua would need 100 milligrams every day to prevent one from happening at all. And I also want people to realize that
it's true.
I'm also coupling that with the appropriate diet, a biologically appropriate, real food diet. We're not feeding a kibble and doing this. I still think a full spectrum hemp extract would help, but you're not going to get rid of cancer by not supporting. You got to stop feeding that cancer also. Probably that food was the reason it happened 100%. In the first place. So when you're advising
yes, 100%. And
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I do, as you say, a multi-prong approach where I don't look at just cannabis in isolation, no matter what we're doing in respect to what else is involving this pet and their health, and so that we can bring that all together for the best effect, as you said.
Would you say that if you've got a pet, and especially if you're holistic and integrative and you're trying everything, would you say cannabis is that missing piece and your pet coming back to homeostasis and getting better, or getting ahead of a disease or a hold of a disease?
I agree. Yes.
I do too.
Yes, absolutely.
To me, that's why I call her the queen of adaptogens. I'm like, put her with anything. Even if you want to go the conventional route, still go use that cannabis. It'll help.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So how hard was it to navigate? You now have learned all about the endocannabinoid system and how it works. How the heck did you find products? Are you advising? I remember being in Nova Scotia when I did my little video with Rodney Habib, and his dog Sammy was still alive. And I remember going, okay, I'm going to get you a full spectrum hemp extract, and I'm going to get you, or I'll just get a cannabis extract that's like maybe a 1-to-1 to see if we can help. And I remember going into the dispensary, and not only did nobody know what they were talking about or know what I was asking for, I couldn't even get a rundown of what was in everything, what percentages, what the cannabinoid profiles or whatever. So I can't imagine how difficult it was for you to find full spectrum brands, find real medicine. So are you doing it between brands, going to the dispensary? How did you navigate that?
All of that, and hundreds of hours of researching products. And, as you said, in the human industry, in the legal scope of what we have in market is ever changing. And so sometimes I'll find this amazing product, and then all of a sudden it's not available anymore.
Oh my God, I literally just said this on another interview. That's hilarious. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
That's
so,
exactly what I just said. I'm like,
no.
I found my medicine. I went back next month. They didn't carry that one anymore.
100%. And it is always evolving. It's always changing. And so it just is a constant life of research for me, so that I will discover new products. I will be looking at different products that are available in different provinces, because that too is not consistent for us. And so what could be a product in Ontario is not necessarily available to us in Alberta, and vice versa. So it's an ever dynamic flow of research.
It's amazing.
And many dispensary trips.
Many dispensary trips. And describe the dispensary trips. What are they like? Like, are some better than others? Because I know that people are not educated so much, and you're going to find one person who's passionate, but for the most part, it's a job.
Yes. And so it's exactly as you described, Angela. Sometimes I've had these connections with even managers of dispensaries that are now then referring clients to me. They are absolutely relieved when I come in to describe my service, because as you had mentioned, they say all the time, we have people coming in, what can I give my dog? What can I give my pet? And of course they can't advise on that. So they're happy to give them my contact information.
Well, I love that you do this. And I know at CBD Dog Health, on a daily basis, we have such a big following in Canada that I'm so happy that we get to refer them to someone now, because you do know what you're talking about. I made sure before I had you come on. And I'm so happy that you do. And I'm so happy that they have a resource, because it is, we used to do consultations, and we couldn't even handle it anymore. It was too much. So we do them through Dr. Ruth Roberts now, who has a pet health coach, where she trains both people and veterinarians and vet techs on holistic health, and teaches them cannabis and fungi medicine also. So I'm so glad that you're doing this, and I'm so glad, and I hope there's more of you, and we'll be referring people to you like crazy. Our Canadians will be referring to them. Thank you so much for what you do and for coming on our show today. We really appreciate it.